Help Remy to recover from the diabetic foot ulcers. Please welcome Mr. Remy D'Souza, Mr. Glenn Gonsalves, and Mrs. Smita Chari. So they've come here to share their testimonials with you, and I thank them for making this effort. And it's only when you see somebody who has recovered from diabetic foot ulcer and who's wearing the orthosis and footwear that you can realize what we can do to save the diabetic foot. Please have a seat. I'll call you later for your testimony. Okay, so we are all familiar with the signs of diabetes. It usually starts with increased thirst, frequent urination, hunger and weight loss. But then, as the lady said from Kavelosi, fatigue. That's the first sign people start thinking, we feel tired, weak this stuff. Then they get blurring of vision because the diabetes affects their retina. There is some irritability. And then, like in the skid which you all saw, slow healing ulcers. Now, Precopia got an ulcer on the toe. It normally should heal within 1 or 2 weeks. It lasts for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, goes on, becomes worse. The skin becomes black. That is a sign of diabetes because there's poor healing happening with that ulcer. And you can get frequent infections. You do a flossing and you get a gum infection. You get a small skin rash and that rash persists. Then, what are the risk factors? So we know that heavy weight, increase in body mass index, inactivity, which has become more prominent now because of COVID-19. We are not able to come out of our houses and do exercise, so that's where yoga is helping a lot. A family history of diabetes, if the relations have got diabetes, there's a chance that you will get it. Ethnicity, like Indians are very high risk for getting diabetes per se compared to the globe. Age, now we talk of diabetes as an age of middle age and elderly. We think of people above 50, but now we're more and more getting young diabetics. At the age of 30, itself people are getting diagnosed with diabetics. There are also in women the chances of getting something known as gestational diabetes, which is that you get diabetes or elevated blood sugars during pregnancy, and even after pregnancy ends, that diabetes continues. This puts the woman at risk for something known as polycystic ovary syndrome, which results in other hormonal disturbances. Diabetes is also associated with a syndrome known as syndrome X, or metabolic syndrome. This is associated with high blood pressure and high triglycerides and cholesterol, along with high blood sugar. The lady from Kavelosi was mentioning that the minute she started doing her yoga exercises, not only the blood sugar but also the blood pressure went down, because basically that therapy controlled the entire syndrome X. So these are the risk factors. And now something about the complications. I'm trying to just come over a lot of the medical terms in a short period of time so that I can concentrate on diabetic foot. So what are the main problems we get? Diabetes alone ki problems are the patient are. Cardiovascular disease, heart disease, the diabetes blood sugar makes the arteries thick and blocked, and therefore they get decreased blood supply to the heart. This can progress to something known as angina. Angina means heart blood supply na, heart stops pumping very well and heart starts getting burning pain. So whenever you exercise, you get burning pain in the chest. Then it progresses to arrhythmias, palpitations. Then it progresses to ischemic heart disease, decreased blood supply to the heart. Then it progresses to cardiac failure. When you have cardiac failure, that is when the legs get swollen up. The other way the diabetes affects you is nerve damage, neuropathy. So the diabetes blood sugar gets deposited in the nerves, which lead to the foot, and that causes numbness of the foot. It also causes numbness of the hand. So haath ani paay doni moyata. And what the patient comes with? Gloves and stocking type of picture. Exactly in that area there is numbness. Then when you step on a toe, when you step on a foot, or when you step on a stone, you get an ulcer, but you don't know how the ulcer happened. You hold something hot, you get burnt on your hand, but how did you get burnt? Because of neuropathy. Other types of neuropathy come and affect the spine. So you get shooting pains which come in the shoulders and in the back. Very terrible pains. Persons cannot sometimes tolerate that pain, they cannot move around. So there are all treatments for this type with neurology, but this is also something which is associated with diabetes. Then the diabetes affects your kidney, the cells which clear urine from your blood. When diabetes hits these cells, they stop functioning normally. Things which are supposed to be kept in the blood are thrown out in the urine. So what protein enters the urine? We start getting proteinuria. Normally protein is supposed to be kept back in the blood, but when protein falls in the urine, one, you get high chance of urinary infections. Two, because protein comes down in the blood, you have high chance of swelling of the legs and decreased wound healing. Also glucose enters the urine. Finally, urea creatinine starts rising, person requires dialysis. So this is the end point of kidney failure which comes in long-standing diabetes. Diabetes affects the eyes, the retina. It causes proliferation of blood vessels. Then you get blurring of vision. Then you require laser therapy to correct those proliferated blood vessels. Diabetes most frequently affects the feet. The foot is an organ which is most abused by most of us. We take 17,000 steps per day, but we don't realize that we're taking that many steps. And only when we lose a part of the foot, we realize how important the foot is. So diabetes is affecting the foot by different ways, by decreasing blood supply, it's called arteriopathy, and by affecting the nerves, it's called neuropathy. Then diabetes causes skin conditions, it causes skin rashes, it causes eczema. Eczema means discharging wounds on the surface of the body. Then diabetes also affects the nerves related to hearing, so you get vestibular balance disorders and hearing impairment. Diabetes is associated with aging changes, so you get Alzheimer's with memory loss and dementia. And like mentioned earlier, Dr. Celso, depression is a major component of diabetes because you're not able to move around, because you're not able to do your normal functioning, you feel tired, you feel fatigued, you withdraw from all the things which you are normally associated with, and that causes depression. So if we can tackle the depression by the healthy art of living and the healthy diet and healthy exercise, then we can reverse or prevent a lot of these changes which are happening. So these are a few cases of diabetic foot ulcer. And when we say diabetic foot ulcer, we are worried because we think the ulcer is the beginning and it ends in amputation. But what I'm trying to stress in my talk and what the DHS is trying to say is diabetes is a lifestyle, a way of living. People live with diabetes till the end of their life. And you don't have to progress to amputation. You can live with a diabetic foot ulcer, as my patients are living, and you can continue your normal activities and you can protect your foot and preserve the function. So basically surgery to protect and preserve function. I have performed these surgeries in Goa itself. So let's start with the first surgery. A gentleman with decreased blood supply to the foot, with a previous history of accident involving the leg, with a previous history of skin grafting on the leg, multiple skin grafts. Now that leg has got swellings in some places, tightness in some other places. That gentleman develops an ulcer on the side of his foot. That blood supply to the foot also is decreased, so that is called an ischemic ulcer. Now in such a case, what does the doctor do? The doctor's role is meant to protect that ulcer from progressing to involvement of bone. So what I am doing in this case is basically conservative paring, that is removing of the dead skin and thickened hyperkeratotic callus which comes around the ulcer, and foot care. So here you see the foot. You can see the left leg is normal, the right leg has been the one which has got affected by trauma, there are skin grafts on it, there is swelling on it, the skin is shiny, some part of the skin is dry, and you can see on the right great toe there is an ulcer. That is a beginning ulcer. So this we have tried to keep under control over a period of months just by periodic paring of the foot and secondly periodic antibiotics in case we find any infection going to the bone. And if there is no infection, there is no need of antibiotics. So if this patient comes on the regular follow-up once every month to the doctor, he can very well keep this type of ulcer under control. And this patient actually is among you today, Mr. Remy, who is wearing his footwear. That footwear which you see on his feet is an orthotic footwear which has been designed with a custom-made insole so that we avoid pressure on that particular area of the ulcer and we give pressure to the other parts. So that is called orthosis wear. So this is one way we manage a diabetic foot ulcer long term. Toenail. How many diabetic patients have got difficulties in cutting their toenails? When they cut their toenails, they end up cutting pieces of skin. When they have the wounds from that, then that starts the toe ulcer component. One easy way to correct a toenail is to do square cutting of the toenail and to use a proper toenail clipper. Diabetic patients are also prone to fungal infections of the nails, hardening and thickening of the nails, ingrowing of the toenails, etc. So toenail surgery also is a part of diabetic foot care. And here you can see a gentleman who has had he's a diabetic and he's had a crush injury of the toe because something has gone over his foot. And you can see that there is blood accumulated below the toenail. So now in such a case, if he reaches a surgeon at the right time, that toenail can be preserved, that ulcer can be prevented. You can see the nail bed has been damaged in that case, so I have basically repaired the nail bed and repositioned the nail. So this is one way in which early care of a toenail injury can be protective to the entire foot. Now, going on to something higher level, there is something called as flap surgery. In reconstructive surgery, we raise tissue from some parts of the body, move it to another part of the body, that is called a flap. Look at this patient. Because of diabetes, this elderly Goan gentleman, 67 years of age, has lost his entire heel pad. Now when the heel pad is gone, sometimes these patients progress to amputation because they say there is no way the person can ever put the foot down again. We need something which can cushion that foot, which can take the weight of the entire 60-70 kg of the body. The only thing which can be done in that case is a flap surgery. So you can see in the right hand side, there is a flap. Okay, there is a flap which is put on the heel. This flap has come from here. So basically we have taken from this area and brought the flap here. So how does that function in the long term? So this is him at 6 months. And you can see the flap has matured on his foot. This area also has matured. And he is walking. This case done in GMC, they are having microcellular rubber footwear with a sandal and a leather strap to prevent tightening of the tendo Achilles, because this patient also has a tight tendo Achilles. So these are ways in which we try to bring about correction of the gait of the patient even when operated, so that they can walk on these reconstructed feet. So this is another patient who has had a major ulcer, a major heel pad loss, reconstructed, but also followed up to make sure that he ends up walking. Now, there is amputation of course involved in diabetic foot surgery, but amputation does not necessarily mean loss of function. So here is a patient who had a chemical burn to his toe. He had put some bleaching powder for the rain season on the ground, and by mistake he walked in it. So his toe got burnt. Later on, he also had, he was a known diabetic, and what happened is he didn't know that he had decreased blood supply to his foot. So because of decreased blood supply, the toe wound did not heal, and the toe wound progressed to black gangrene. So you can see here this black gangrene, and he had a revascularization procedure in which the blood supply to his foot was reopened up by endovascular surgery. And after that, he underwent a conservative toe amputation. Why I say conservative toe amputation? Because in the way when the person walks, the foot transfer of weight happens from the heel to the toe. And if you can preserve the head of the first toe, we can preserve the walking of the patient. So this conservative amputation, preserved the head of his toe, and you kept skin flaps here. These skin flaps we allowed to heal, and then we closed them. And finally, by closing them, we are able to save this skin under the head of the toe. And if we save that skin, we can save the person's ability to walk. This gentleman is also with us here today. He is also wearing specially modified footwear, Mr. Glenn Gonsalves, and he's been living with this foot for the last 3 months now, and he's going to continue doing his care, and he will share with you his story about how he takes care of his foot. Now, next comes internal offloading. Now this is a new principle where we have to design an amputation in such a way that weight transfer has to happen to another part of the foot. How do we design an amputation? How do we design a weight transfer? So look at this case. This is a gentleman who has had the great toe and the second toe amputated, a double toe amputation. Now, as Dr. Celso remarked, he had a personal experience where one toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, and then everything below knee amputation. So like we have to stop that somewhere. We have to stop it, and we have to keep it at that level only. So how do we preserve the rest of the toes? How do we preserve the foot? So you can see that in this case the black stuff is basically exposed bones of the foot, and the amputation is basically resulting in infection going up into the leg. So we need to reduce the foot, but we need to protect the foot. So in this surgery what I have done is I have done a parabola preserving amputation of the first and second metatarsal bones. These are scientific terms, but I'll just try to show you in the X-ray. This picture shows how the bones have been cut in a particular way to allow weight transfer to now happen on this part of the foot. The third and the fourth toe now become the main weight transferring toes. And this has resulted in allowing this area to heal, and later on allowing us to put a skin graft on this. And this patient is now completing 4 months with an orthotic footwear, and he will continue on with this. So even if you have 2 or 3 toe amputations, you can still rebalance the foot. You can do tendon balancing procedures or bone balancing procedures and transfer the weight to another part. Okay. Now, this is we know that there is something called juvenile diabetes also. Juvenile diabetes comes in the early age group, type 1 diabetes. And this is a case of a young boy who I'll show in a video later also. He had a diabetes with an exposure of his first toe. So the entire joint of the first toe was open. And in this case, the easy option would be just amputate the toe and leave it at that point. But since he's a young fellow, we want to protect the toe and great toe transfer. We did a surgery where we cut off the joint and brought this toe down here. So we basically shortened the toe and fused it with a K-wire through this. That ulcer was later covered by using the skin of the top of the leg to transfer to cover the ulcer. That resulted in a healed ulcer, a protected great toe which is shortened in height. Now the benefit of this toe is that he can now walk on this toe with normal weight transfer. As long as we can preserve the toe, we can preserve the weight transfer. Here he is shown wearing an orthosis. His diabetic neuropathy also resulted in foot drop. So this ankle foot orthosis is also protecting his foot from foot drop. I will show you the video of this boy who has progressed, how he is walking now with that orthosis. Now, this is a long-standing case of mine, which is almost like 4 or 5 years old duration, and she is also with us in the crowd, Miss Smita. And she came to me at a stage when it was advised an amputation. So there was a big wound over the ankle joint. The entire ankle joint was open on the entire side of the leg. Tendons were exposed, the joint was exposed, septic arthritis was the picture, and the direct surgery solution was save her and amputate the leg. So we deferred. As reconstructive surgeons, we try to save as much as we can. So if you see this leg in this state, this is how she came to us. It's an exposed joint, septic tendon, septic arthritis. But if you manage to do a proper debridement, debridement means removal of dead tissues. If you can do the debridement at the right time, control the infection, allow the granulation to come over, immobilize the foot in a plaster so that it heals in a particular way, then get a proper clean picture, and at this stage put a skin graft. So with this, by preserving her joint, we managed to heal her. And this is how she was 3 years back. But then she came to me 6 months back with a recurrence of an ulcer on the toe. And that was because the joint did not have any support on one side. All the tendons had gone. Her foot was getting twisted. So we needed something to straighten the foot again and allow her to walk. Without that, she was walking in a very bent fashion. She was lurching and falling and walking. So here you can see this is the measurement of an orthosis being done at LP Hospital. So this is a fiberglass boot which is being designed, and on this negative an orthosis will be fabricated. And here you can see her with the orthosis. This orthosis ankle foot is stabilizing her ankle, and therefore with this orthosis, with socks and sandals, she is able to walk and stabilize and walk around the house. So I'll show you in the video how she is walking in the house. So even a person who needed an amputation, who had an open joint, who had a septic arthritis, can still function 5 years after the surgery and still be walking around the house. So I'll just finish off with a few more points which are more pertinent to the general population. See, we know that there are many common diabetic foot problems. On the heel, you'll get skin cracks. They'll get fungal infected. The toenails can get fungal infection with thickening of the toenails. Callus is a thickening of skin which happens under the foot. Corn is corns which happen over the toes. Blisters can form because of ill-fitting footwear. Bunion is a turning in of the greater toe. Dry skin can happen because of poor blood supply. Diabetic ulcer, as I've explained to you. Hammer toes is when the small muscles of the foot get paralyzed and the toes get curled up. Ingrowing toenails, you're all familiar with. It's a very difficult topic to tackle without proper surgery, and you can even get viral warts. This is an example of a bunion. And if you come at an early stage, before this joint is fused into this position, soft tissue surgery can correct this positioning of the toe. Hammer toes can easily be corrected by doing tendon releases, provided you come at an early stage. So if anybody suffers from this, they have to consult their diabetic foot doctor at an early stage. Callus can be easily treated by excision of callus, corns simultaneously by excision of corns. All these are easily treatable diabetic foot problems. How do you care for your feet? So at night, before going to sleep, wash your feet in warm water. This is for the cold climate. So in our climate, you don't need warm water. Use a mild soap. You don't have to use Dettol or Savlon. Just use a mild soap. Check for any ulcers, any redness, any calluses. If you are having cracked heels, keep a lotion on your heel, but do it at night so that at night it makes your heel soft. Rather, don't do it during the daytime because you might slip on that lotion and fall down. If you have a pumice stone at home, I'll show you what a pumice stone is. You can smoothen the corns and calluses yourself at home. Check your toenails once a week. Trim your toenails with a proper nail clipper. Do not round off the corners. Smooth the toenails with a nail file. Now this is a pumice stone. Easily available in our pharmacies. This can be used to smoothen corns and calluses. This is a nail clipper. This just costs 300 rupees on Amazon. And this thing can be used, it's got a long handle, it's got a broad handle so senior citizens can easily hold it, and this can clip any type of thickened, ingrown or heavy toenails compared to the normal nail clippers which come in the market. Also, always wear closed-toed shoes or slippers. Sandals are not advised, except in the rainy season of course when they can't be avoided, but otherwise sandals do not provide arch support for our feet. If you don't have a front and a back, you do not get arch support, you end up getting a collapsed foot, a flat foot. So the best treatment for a diabetic foot is a heel and a toe support. Wear socks or stockings, wear shoes that fit well. Diabetic patients should wear shoes made of canvas or leather Measure them out in the afternoon because that is the time when the foot is maximum in size. Smoking is absolutely not allowed for diabetic patients because you need to protect the blood supply to your foot. And make sure you get a diabetic foot exam at least once in 3 months to look for any signs of problems. Thank you, and I would like to just call my 3 patients just for you to have a look at them and for them to say a few words. Can you tell them your story about how you got the wound on your foot and what was the procedures done for your foot?
See, I'm Glenn Gonsalves from Miramar, and I had one freaky accident. I put bleach in front of my gate because I would slip on my scooter, and with that my whole leg only was damaged.
And so then you noticed that the great toe was getting black slowly.
And the bigger toe of mine became black. So when I met Dr. Ruben, he saw it and he says, okay, come on. And he did the needful within a short minutes, like within 10 minutes time, and that too in the health center at Kollam.
That's where I was practicing. He came on Ganesh Chaturthi when everything was closed.
When everything was closed.
Gangrene on the toe and I had to amputate it. So I said, we do it wherever we can.
So it was a sort of an emergency and doctor said, okay, we have to do it now. So I said, okay doctor, we can do it.
Okay. Now, what is the practical problem you face doing the dressings at home afterwards?
Dressing at home?
How are you having bath? Or how are you protecting your dressing when you are having bath?
I used to have a normal bath and see that the wound is clean, and then I would spray it with either with your
Saline.
With saline, and then put the medicine.
Okay.
And then keep it tight. Then after the next day, after 24 hours, like again have a bath, again clean it, and again.
When you were having the dressing, what type of footwear were you wearing at home to get around the house?
I was just wearing a normal footwear.
Crocs.
Crocs, and only on one leg. Other leg I used to just put a bandage and pull a socks.
So one very important thing in this is the patient should never stop walking. Diabetic foot is not a reason for you to stop walking. At all points of time during the treatment, Glenn was always encouraged, walk. Walk in your house because you have to get up from your bed to go to the bathroom, get up from your bed, go to the dining room. The most frequent cause of death in a study in a South Indian hospital in diabetic patients having amputations was not because of heart disease, was not because of stroke, it was because of urinary tract infection, because the patients never reached the toilet in time. They always used to hold their urine and used to get urinary tract infections. So one very important thing in a diabetic foot patients, always encourage them and make it possible for them to walk. Ask them what are they wearing, how are they taking care of their dressing, what footwear are they wearing. Finally, Glenn progressed to these customized footwear, which we designed when finally his wound healed within 3 weeks. Then we took an impression of his feet in a foam and then we sent it to Bangalore and got it measured out and then got the footwear made for him again. Now, how do you take care of your footwear, Glenn?
Now, as usual, I bandage my leg and with the wound is slightly alive. So maybe in some days to come, it might heal.
So that's what I mean to say. A diabetic foot ulcer is no reason for you to stop walking. If you can protect your footwear, you can have a normal life and you can be like Glenn. Now let's hear from Remy.
No, in that case also, I ride a motorbike, I drive my car. I have no issues with that.
Yeah.
And my leg is going strong. I can press the clutch, I can do any damn thing.
He drove a bike to come here.
Yeah, I came on my bike, I came over here. Yeah. And that it was raining and I reached the market.
So Remy also came on a bike to meet me and then he came with me. So Remy stays close to my place and so, yeah, Remy, introduce yourself here, tell you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Remigius D'Souza. I am from Koralim, Goa. You see, I met with an accident in 2016 on June 23rd. The rain was very heavy and it was a Thursday. And since the rain stopped, and I said, let me go to Manastari, which we have as a market for vegetable. And I knew that road very well. And as the rain had stopped and the water was just gushing down, I knew there was a pothole. And I was on my bike very slow as ever. All of a sudden, I do not know what came, and I skidded where the pothole was, and I had a fall. I had a great fall, and then people came running, and they picked me up. The bike was on me, and I had an injury on my ankle actually. But what happened, the other part where the front tire was, that got hit and it hit my toe. And I was wearing sandals. And as I came home, I stayed close by. The accident happened actually very close by. I have got a hospital there, Durabkar Hospital, which I didn't bother about it. I said no. When I entered my house, I found was a big balloon on my toe. And I couldn't remove my shoe, my sandals. And I was just wondering what to do. Thinking myself was too wise enough, I went to the kitchen, took a scissor, and cut up that blister, that balloon which was there. And then I rang up my sister-in-law and I said, so and so thing has happened. The next moment she told me, do one thing, take warm water, put plenty of fat salt, and soak your leg. And I kept it. And I never bothered as before, and I was eating a lot of mangoes because it was mango season. And I never knew I was a diabetic patient. It's only after this accident, and 4 days later, I was at a mass in Old Goa St. Francis Xavier Church for 8 o'clock mass. And all of a sudden, I found my leg just getting heavier, painful, and it is just, like bulging. I said, what's wrong? All this time was okay. And I said, Lord, what am I to do? During the course of the Mass, I said, nothing doing. It was a Sunday. I said, there is no other way I can. I have to go to GMC hospital.
Okay, so Remy, I'll just stop you there because we'll try to cut down the whole situation. But basically what Remy had was a cellulitis of the foot. He underwent surgeries in different hospitals, conservative treatment somewhere else, antibiotics somewhere else, debridement somewhere else, skin grafting somewhere else. Finally, his foot is like a little bit of battleground. Then Remy presented to us 3 months back. When I came back with an ulcer on the toe, my primary concern was, this is a battleground foot. There is no adventures to be done in this foot. So we have to conservatively manage. So this is how we are managing Remy. Every time he comes to me, we just pare off a little bit of the extra skin, the thickened skin which comes from the ulcer. We look and probe for the bone underneath to see whether the bone is not getting involved. Once I've done an X-ray just to look at osteomyelitis, we have put him on 2 courses of antibiotics twice in the last 3 months, each lasting 7 days. And mainly I've managed to keep him controlled with his sugars and mostly with the diabetic footwear, again which he's wearing, which has been customized to his foot. The aim of this footwear is only one, to prevent the ulcer which is on the side of his foot from going to the bottom of his foot. Once it reaches the bottom, that is where the slide begins. That is where we start cutting and debriding and all that. As long as it's on the side, we can still protect his foot. So, thank you Remy. I just wanted to say that your footwear is doing a wonderful job for you. And
oh yes, I must say, because earlier I had another footwear which it was so heavy that this right leg of mine to lift it up was very difficult for me. But with this footwear, it's so light that I hardly feel that as I go on shoes or this footwear. And it has really brought a lot of changes to my feet.
He's still very active, and I would like to thank him for that. Last, I would like to speak to Smita. Smita Manchi Pudlaneta. Just give it to me. Yeah. So Smita is one of my older patients, and she had a very bad ankle injury and a very bad ankle infection, and we tried to save the foot, and we did a major skin grafting, and the foot got saved. But when she came back with an ulcer again on the front of the foot, and I could see that her foot is getting imbalanced, the ankle is getting imbalanced. So Smita, तू आता आयले ताजे पयली तू कशें चलताले घराकडे चलताले की बसताले चड करून?
ना मातशें चलतालें.
मातशें चलताले बाजारान वयताले?
ना ना
गार्डनान वयताले?
ना खंय वचप ना.
ओके. कित्याक जाताले ते? चलपाक जायनाशिल्लें तुका?
जायनासलें. जोती घातल्यान जाता.
आतां जाता? आतां खंय वयता तूं चलून?
आतां खंय दोतोरागेर डायबिटीज दोतोरागेर वयता.
So she is able to do her normal visits. Okay, we'll show you a video of her. Please play Smita's video of her walking with the orthosis. So basically, how a simple device can change a person's life and get them back to walk again. So this is the picture of Smita Thaipai. She is walking in a house. She is wearing her sandals. She is wearing her orthosis. Her ankle is now straight. She is not holding a cane. Here at least she's holding a cane. Without a cane, she's walking on a smooth floor, tiled floor. So this is how we want our patients to walk, independently and able to go throughout the house. Thank you, Smita. Thank you for doing all this for me. Last, I would like to play the video of Sujal 1 and Sujal 2. First one, yeah. So this is the young boy whom you saw whose toe was amputated. Toe was preserved, sorry. And you can see him where he was earlier in the stage when he's using a walker. So what you see is him using a tripod walker. So when you initially have a foot surgery, even when you have the initial surgery, you still should be walking. So we start him with a tripod walker. And later on when he progress, then with physiotherapy, now he's walking alone. So he progressed from tripod walker to cane to simple walking. कसं असं सुजल ओके बरं चालतं आता एकच आपणच विदाउट क्रचेस शाबाश शाबाश ऑल द बेस्ट So this is also juvenile diabetes who has been saved from a major foot surgery and he's getting back to his walking again. So I would like to thank you all for listening patiently to me and my patients, and I hope that all of you all now go back from this with the thought that diabetic foot ulcer, you can live with it and it is not the end of the foot. Thank you.